Welcome to episode 6 of Run That Back. Today we are talking about Dak Prescott and his performance on Thanksgiving. I didn't have any videos for you guys last week. I was spending time with my family on Thanksgiving, and I also happened to watch Dak Prescott dice up the Chiefs defense, finishing 27 of 39 for 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And that 1 interception we will talk about very soon. So I guess without any further ado, let's get into the video. All right, and the first one here to show you guys is probably Prescott's worst throw of the day. It's the interception that he throws in the first drive of the game, and there's a couple layers to this, so let me, just take it one step at a time and start with what the Cowboys have on the offensive side of the ball. And to the field side, it's just a little bench concept, so it's going to be an out route here from Kevontae Turpin. And Pickens is running a deep corner behind it. And then to the boundary, you're going to get a little chip and release from Ferguson and a deep inbreaker from CD Lamb. Protection-wise, the Chiefs are showing 6 potential rushers, and the Cowboys have 6 in to protect. Now, the way that they protect this is important. So they have everyone just kind of fanning out and taking the widest man that they can, really. And then they have Javonte Williams, the running back, stepping up and taking Nick Bolton if he blitzes. Now, if Nick Bolton doesn't blitz, then Javonte Williams is going to scan and just look for free rushers. But we'll get to that and get to why that's important. So pre-snap, this looks like a potential 6-man blitz. You don't know who's coming or who's going, but Dak Prescott knows in his head he's got enough bodies in to protect and everything should be good. And so he's going to go to the field side of this play and read this little bench concept, which is just a simple high-low where you're looking at this corner and waiting for him to declare whether or not he's going to take the corner or the out route, and you're just going to throw it to the open man. But the Chiefs did trick him a little bit here. The Chiefs have on a simulated pressure where Mike Edwards, number 21 here, is actually going to blitz through the C gap, and Leo Chenal is going to drop into the flat, and then Chris Jones, the field side 4-eye, is going to try to book it to the boundary side flat. And that right there is the weak part of the simulated pressure. But pre-snap, Dak Prescott isn't really even considering that as a possibility. And so even though Jake Ferguson's little chip and release route here is wide open and probably the correct answer to beat this blitz, it's not something that Dak Prescott had in his mind pre-snap. And so the Chiefs simply tricked him. Now, another important part of this simulated pressure, Nick Bolton is going to blitz through the A-gap, and therefore Javonte Williams is going to step up and simply take him, which is his job. But if Nick Bolton didn't blitz, then Williams would have the opportunity to scan and potentially take away this free rusher, but he's occupied with Bolton. So, all of that being said, the correct answer here, based on what the Chiefs actually did, like I said, would be to throw that little chip and release to Jake Ferguson, who is clapping his hands and, begging for the ball because he knows that Chris Jones is the guy that's rotating over to take him. But like I said, the Chiefs tricked Prescott, and that's not what he was looking at the moment the ball was snapped. He has his eyes all over this concept to the field side of this play because that's where he knew he was going with the football. And now that we've gotten the simulated pressure out of the way, and we know that the Chiefs did in fact trick him and successfully trick him, we have to analyze the decision to throw this corner route to George Pickens, because this ball gets picked off, spoilers. But based on the leverage of the defender, the guy that he's reading, Jalen Watson, the corner right here, I don't think this was a bad decision if you're just choosing between, 1 and 2 over here. Because Jalen Watson doesn't really declare who he is covering on this play. And so when Dak Prescott separates the throw right here, he's not going to throw this out route because, Watson still could very easily turn and take this out route away. He's going to throw this corner route because 27 right here was coming from not very much depth and was trying to book it all the way back to get to this corner route. So Pickens has some space. It would be a hell of a throw if you could complete it, but there's a world where he lays this ball out there between the two defenders and Pickens is able to run under it for a huge chunk gain. At any rate, I agree with the decision not to throw the out route to Turpin because of the proximity of Jalen Watson right here. Now, the issue is that Prescott doesn't have the ability to get this ball out here or even get it out of bounds and throw it away because of the free runner that is in his face and is about to hit him while he throws this football. And because he tries to get this throw away while getting hit, and my screen just went really choppy, so we'll show that again. Because he gets hit while he's trying to get this ball away, it loses a ton of steam, and Jalen Watson is just very easily able to run under this for a fairly easy interception. But like I said, if this ball ends up anywhere out here, it's either an incomplete pass or a huge completion. It just so happens that I just realized that my face cam is covering where I circled. If the ball ends up anywhere out here, but deeper, it's probably an incomplete pass or a chunk gain. But because the Chiefs tricked him with their little simulated pressure, he got hit while he was throwing and didn't have the arm to get the ball out there, and he got picked off. Now, he got that one out of his system early and pretty much just threw flames against the blitz for the rest of this game. One of the things that Dak Prescott loves to do is use hard counts to get answers pre-snap. And he does that here. He's looking up here at Trent McDuffie, uses the hard count, and he changes the play. What he saw was Trent McDuffie right here, this slot corner. He saw him flinch when he did the hard count. And that little step inside helped Dak identify him as a potential blitzer. And so he changes the play. He moves Javonte Williams up to help in pass protection, and he motions CeeDee Lamb up here out into the slot. Now, Trent McDuffie followed CeeDee Lamb out into the slot, which tells Dak that there's a good chance that he is not blitzing, even though he did that little flinch pre-snap. But the other safety over here, I'm not sure who this is, walked up onto the ball. And so now he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential rushers. And Javonte Williams is going to be responsible in case this guy blitzes. Again, I can't even see his number. I don't really know who it is. I think it might be number 6. Anyways, Dak knows that in all likelihood he is protected here. Now, they tricked him on the first drive of the game, but there isn't any weird angles that these guys could come from that Dak wouldn't be able to see post snap at this point. And so the one thing that he does know is that CeeDee Lamb up here in the slot has outside leverage on Trent McDuffie. And if he puts CeeDee Lamb on a little corner route here, he's got that outside leverage, and 9 times out of 10, he's going to win that rep. And he pairs that with a little short inbreaker here from the outside receiver. And this concept is called cram to some people. I don't know what everyone calls it, but that's what I've heard it called before. And the only man that he has to read here is this outside corner. If the outside corner doesn't fall off and carry this corner route, it's going to be wide open because, once again, Dak trusts his guy to win with outside leverage. And that's exactly what happens here. But first, the Chiefs are running a little stunt here, actually a 3-man stunt where they have 2 pickers and 1 big stunter coming around here in a Menahu. And again, dude back here is not blitzing. He's just manned up with Javonte Williams in the backfield here. Another important note, if you look all across the defense here, they got man coverage looks everywhere. If it's not man coverage, then, they'll go from there, and he'll probably end up throwing that short inbreaker if that, like I said, if that corner peels off. But in all likelihood, he knows he's getting a man coverage blitz here. And he's got 6 protecting 6. So, he is blocked up, but you can only hold up for so long when you're even in pass protection. Luckily for Dak, he was correct about everything that he looked at pre-snap. And all he's got to do is put this ball on CeeDee Lamb's outside shoulder, and he's got a first down here on 3rd. Next one here is one of my favorite ones from the game. Let me set the scene for you. It's 4th and 4. The Chiefs have a little double mug look here, which means you have 2 linebackers lined up in the A-gap. And Dak Prescott is going to use that hard count again to get some answers on whatever blitz or simulated pressure the Chiefs are running here. And I want you, when he's doing the hard count, just to follow number 21 right here. I circled him. Just follow him throughout this play. So, they send the tight end in motion. Bring it back. He walks on the ball. Boom. There's the hard count. He flinched. Number 21, Mike Edwards, I believe, the strong side safety here, flinched. And Dak Prescott immediately sees that. And put your eyes back on Dak for a second. He just points. And Javonte Williams' eyes immediately go up to look at him over here. And what that means to me is that Dak Prescott just pointed at him and said, Javonte, your job is to scan across and take care of number 21 here coming off the edge. Because when Dak Prescott did that hard count and he saw the little step inside that 21 did, that was, in his mind, a declaration of that guy's blitzing. Now, here's the issue. The Chiefs have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential pass rushers. And the Cowboys only have 6 guys in to protect. But Dak Prescott has now deduced that number 21 over here is blitzing, and he has a little out route from Jake Ferguson here with George Pickens running his man off the ball, and someone has to cover this out route. And what he's figured is that it's either going to be this guy peeling off, or it's going to be one of the 2 linebackers that are in the A-gaps peeling off to take that out route. Either way, he's fairly certain he's got a winner here against this blitz. And all he needs is Javonte Williams to come across and take care of the guy that he's certain is blitzing so that he has enough time to get this throw off. Now, what the Chiefs have on at the second level is a little coffee house blitz. So both Bolton and Tranquil, the mugged up linebackers, are going to, act like they're dropping into coverage, although only Bolton is going to sprint out into the flat here, and Tranquil is going to end up blitzing. This doesn't really matter, though, because of what Dak Prescott has already seen. He knows that no matter who it is that's responsible for this flat right here, unless it's the outside corner and they're asking the safety to book it back to George Pickens, and in which case you're going to give up a touchdown. That's not the point, though. He knows that whoever is covering the flat over here is not going to be able to beat Jake Ferguson on this little out route that he has right at the sticks here. All that Dak Prescott needs is enough time to get this throw off, and with Javonte Williams going over to pick up the blitz, that's exactly what he has, and he hits Ferguson for a first down here on a huge 4th and 4 in the second quarter of this game. Next one here, I mostly show you guys this one because I think it's kind of funny, and I'll show you why in a second, but I also do have a little gripe with this one from Dak Prescott's side here. So you're just going to get a little motion, pass protection, and then a play action fake to the left with a little release to the flat. And this is a very simple 7-man protection play action shot concept. So you're going to get a post and a big over from the field side receiver. And this ends up working out well for the Cowboys. I believe the Chiefs have quarters or quarter half on, because this outside corner is going to run with the vertical post route. This safety is also going to cover up the post route. This safety, the weak side safety, I guess, is going to, drop back into a shell, but is also going to end up following this over route across the field, which in a lot of quarters coverages, these safeties, these quarter field safeties will come down and try to erase these crossers, because those crossers can get really deep down the field and out of the range of these linebackers. And then the weak side corner here, the field side corner, is just kind of going to, peel off into his little quarter of the field and really not do much of anything, because there are no routes threatening him in this portion of the field. Anyways, this gets open because CeeDee Lamb carries his man with him and the safety, and that ends up, creating a ton of space for George Pickens over here. And the Chiefs only rush 4. Now, they do get home. Number 99 here ends up backdooring, I believe, the left guard. Because they're running a little fake outside zone play, a little play action off of outside zone. And so he ends up, getting behind Tyler Smith and getting to the quarterback. But Dak still has time to get this throw off. He's got space to move in the pocket and get this throw off. It just ends up being what appears to be a little bit inaccurate. And I will go to the end zone angle and show you a few reasons why that happened. So let's do that now. Here we are. One of my gripes with Dak Prescott is his footwork can get a little bit exaggerated at times. For as much of a pocket passer as he is, he does have a weird tendency to step up too far into the pocket. And on this play, he just kind of starts running forward into that space. And I'll show you again because my videos keep getting messed up. But he's got a lot of space in front of him here. And so it'd be very easy if he could take, one step up and replant right here and then deliver this throw. But he just kind of starts running forward, and I think that makes this ball a little bit inaccurate. But the reality is that George Pickens could probably go get this ball. He just gets blinded by the sun. So we have a little bit of a AT&T Stadium moment here where Pickens, as you can see, the moment that ball lands is where the hell did that ball go? Because he is once again blinded by the sun. So thanks, Jerry. All right, on to the second half, and we're getting another example of Dak Prescott's pre-snap prowess. And one of the things that you'll see here is just kind of using that pre-snap ability to make things easier on you post-snap. So if you just look at this picture right now, the Chiefs have all of these guys in here. So that's going to be 7 potential pass rushers. One of the things that the Cowboys do to make Dak Prescott's job easier on this play is they motion Kevontae Turpin across the field, as they do right now, and they see Trent McDuffie follow him. Dak Prescott sees Trent McDuffie follow him, and just based on his demeanor as he's following him across the field, Dak Prescott has now essentially eliminated him as a potential blitzer. And so now there's 6 potential blitzers and 6 guys in to protect. Javonte Williams does end up releasing to the flat, but that's because the Chiefs only rush 4 on this play. And now that Dak has done all of this work pre-snap, he has a 3-by-1 formation. So you have your 3 receivers over here and your 1 isolated receiver on the boundary side of this play. And the one guy that Dak Prescott is reading here is going to be Nick Bolton, because Nick Bolton can blitz, of course, but Nick Bolton can also drop off into coverage. And most of the time, linebackers that are going to drop off into coverage here are going to turn towards the side with 3 receivers on it. It just makes sense. That's the field division that you want to have the most if you're a middle of the field defender. Also, these safeties are rotating, and I think this is 24 or 34 is rotating back to the middle of the field. And so if Nick Bolton turns towards the field side of this play, there is so much space over here as long as Karlaftis doesn't drop off into coverage. And so once Dak Prescott, gets the snap, his eyes immediately look towards Nick Bolton, whose eyes are looking towards the field. And now that he sees Nick Bolton's eyes looking towards the field, he goes to George Pickens, who is one-on-one on a slant route here. And George Pickens has won tons of slant routes this year. It's been a huge part of the Cowboys offense to be able to have an isolated receiver, an isolated X receiver who can just win a slant route or can just win a vertical route. And that's what George Pickens is. And so Dak goes right to him on 3rd down, and he puts the ball right in his chest, and he drops it. So a lot of great stuff pre-snap from Dak Prescott. Goes to the right place with the ball, and it just doesn't work out. Next one here, another one of Dak Prescott's best throws of the game that ends up being an incompletion. They're going empty here in the red zone, and what they have on is CeeDee Lamb running a little slot fade. They have Javonte Williams running a drag underneath that. They have Pickens and whoever else this is up here. I don't even know what they're doing. They're just kind of jogging over here. No one's really playing here at the top of the screen. And then a little post or seam route here from Jake Ferguson. If you know anything about Dak Prescott, you know how much he loves throwing those seam routes to his tight end. And then the Chiefs look like they're in some type of man coverage. I honestly couldn't identify what coverage this was. It looks a little bit like 2-man, to be completely honest with you. Everyone's got their guy, and then they have their 2 high safeties just kind of helping out down the field. But again, I have no idea what's going on here at the top of the screen. It's not really important to what actually happens in this play, but nobody was playing football on the field side of this play. Anyways, at the bottom here, what's going to happen is Trent McDuffie is going to hesitate as if he's going to carry this seam route from CeeDee Lamb, but ultimately he's going to stick with Javonte Williams. Leo Chenal is going to carry that seam route carry the slot fade from CeeDee Lamb. And then Nick Bolton, the linebacker, is going to be responsible for Jake Ferguson on the inside shoulder. And then this safety back here is going to stay very wide and on the outside shoulder of Jake Ferguson, who is running, like I said, that little kind of spray seam or post or whatever you want to call this. And Dak Prescott immediately realizes that after he takes a snap that Ferguson has a step on Bolton as he's bending this back to the inside, and Bolton's eyes, kind of get caught looking back at the quarterback. And so with a ton of anticipation, Dak Prescott puts this ball in the back of the end zone right now where only his guy can get it. He puts it high up in the air. And I mean, it's a beautiful throw. I think they called it a touchdown on the field. Yeah, they did. But they ended up ruling this one incomplete. I'll show you another angle just to show you how impressive this throw was, really. Like I said, even though it ends up becoming an incompletion, it's right where you need this ball to be. You need to put this high in a way. I'm not going to steal a JT O'Sullivan quote. Actually, I am going to steal a JT O'Sullivan quote right now. He calls this high back 5. Back of the end zone, up in the air where only your guy can get it. This is a beautiful, beautiful throw from Dak Prescott, and unfortunately, it ends up being an incompletion after review. All right, and as we keep going, we got another blitz beater here. I also realized that throughout this video, I have been referring to Mike Edwards and Jaden Hicks as pretty much the same person. So from now on out, I'm going to be able to differentiate between the two. Number 21 is Jaden Hicks right here in the middle of the field. He's important on this play, but I know who he is now. The Chiefs are showing 6 potential blitzers here pre-snap, and the Cowboys have 6 in to protect. So the 5 down lineman and the running back once again. Jaden Hicks, though, is not really showing rush demeanor pre-snap, but when I believe this is Flanoy comes in motion, he sees Jaden Hicks move into the middle of the field, and he knows that he might be a blitzer. Now, Bolton and Hicks right here, so 32 and 21, are the only potential defenders that could end up dropping off into this window right here. And once again, the Cowboys have a little 3-by-1 here, so 1, 2, 3, and George Pickens at the bottom. And once again, they have George Pickens running a slant. And Dak Prescott, if George Pickens is one-on-one running a slant, that is going to be read number 1 pretty much every single time. As long as this window is open, as long as Tranquil doesn't drop off, as long as Bolton doesn't drop off, as long as Hicks doesn't drop off. If they all rush, the Cowboys only have 6 in to protect 7, which would make this a hot situation, but Hicks is going to be the free runner if he blitzes. Prescott does not have anybody, ready to block him, and that's okay because he's coming from depth as a late blitzer. And if he blitzes, that's going to give him enough time to find Pickens on this little slant here. Now, what if Hicks blitzes and one of these linebackers drops off? That's what the running back is coming across for if one of these two guys, falls out of the pass rush. And in that case, they would have 6 protecting 6, but they wouldn't have a lot of time because, as I've mentioned before, that pass protection plan doesn't hold up for very long. What they have is they have Flanoy coming across here and running a drag route, and they've already identified that this is most likely man coverage. And they have CeeDee Lamb coming across behind him on like a little trail route here. And what that does is it takes these linebackers who, if either of them were to, drop back into coverage, would probably open towards the field side of this play, as I mentioned already. And they would have to sort out these 2 crossers. Now, that's all just like hypothetical. And that's just me saying if, what actually happens didn't end up happening, the Cowboys still have options on this play, and Dak Prescott still has options because of the work that he's done pre-snap. But ultimately, the Chiefs end up sending the house. They send everyone, and nobody is in that slant window. And the second he sees Hicks blitzing, he goes right to Pickens, who gets the first down, turns up the field, and creates a whole lot of something out of just a first down. And yeah, of course, he does his little leap at the end there. Next play here in the 4th quarter is another play-action shot play, very similar to the one I showed you earlier. Pickens is going to run a deep over, and CeeDee Lamb is going to run a clear-out route. And then you also have 86 running the wheel route here. I think 86 is Schoonmaker and 87 is Ferguson. It would be really, really embarrassing if I've been getting that wrong for the entire video. I digress. The Chiefs here have what appears to be a safety capping this route from CeeDee Lamb and Trent McDuffie one-on-one with him. And then they have, a field side safety as well. And this is pretty important from their perspective because Dak Prescott and any quarterback really running these play action shot plays, your main read is this over route. That's really where you want to go with the ball. This over here, this clear out route is just that. It's a clear out route. It's an alert. You're not typically going to throw that ball unless, something happens with the defense that ends up leaving this guy wide open. Your main read is that big over route. That's the whole point of this play action shot play. And you really don't have much time to read it out because you're turning your back to the defense for almost 2 seconds. And so by the time you actually get to see what the picture looks like on these play action shot plays, you're going to be under pressure. You don't really have the time to read things out. And there's only 3 guys in the concept, so there's really nowhere else to go with the ball. And like I said, so Trent McDuffie is blitzing on this play. The Chiefs are going to send him off the edge, and Chamari Connor is going to rotate down and essentially replace him as the one-on-one corner that's going to run with CeeDee Lamb down the field. Pass protection is not an issue. Hunter Lepke is going to pick up this blitz, and then the Chiefs are only going to rush, I believe, 4 other defenders. The issue is that Chamari Connor has to pivot and run with CeeDee Lamb the whole way down the field with no safety help because he is the safety. And Dak Prescott is a quick enough processor that when he takes the snap, does his play action fake and turns his head, he immediately sees that Trent McDuffie is blitzing and there is no longer a safety back here because that safety is now man-to-man with CeeDee Lamb running down the field. And I'll play this another step further. Pickens is coming down the over and Dak Prescott is separating to throw this football. And you'd think now, Pickens has got a step. He's the number one read in this concept. You throw the over, you get your 30, 40-yard gain, whatever, and maybe some room for more with yards after the catch. But CeeDee Lamb is even with Chamari Connor, who was the safety on this play. There is no safety help. Dak Prescott has pretty much determined that, this route is an alert. It's time to throw this ball. This is when the alert becomes the number one read. And he puts that ball out there for CeeDee Lamb. It's not perfectly in stride, but it gets there and it gets them a huge gain on a play where the guy that he was throwing the football to wasn't really the main read in the progression. Last one here, right before the 2-minute warning here in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys get a big first down conversion off of a quick game concept. And just talking about Dak Prescott, he might be the best quick game quarterback in the NFL, and plays like this are exactly why. So the Cowboys motion over Ferguson, I think, to make it a 3-by-1 formation. So you got 3 receivers and 1 on the boundary side of this play. And the Cowboys have on a very simple quick game concept. So on the 3-by side, they're going to have either spacing or snag. I don't know which one because CeeDee Lamb doesn't really finish his route. If he's supposed to sit down here on a curl, then it's spacing. If he's supposed to run a corner route, then it's snag. I am not sure which one it's supposed to be. So he kind of just ends up running a little like here and then floats out to the 30-yard line. And then the outside receiver, Flanoy, I believe, is going to run that little sit down route. And then Ferguson's going to run a flat route behind him. So like I said, sit down, it's spacing, corner, it's snag. CeeDee Lamb does neither, so it doesn't really matter. On the backside of this play, you're going to have a dragon concept. So Pickens is going to run a slant, and the running back is going to run a flat. Dragon is just slant flat. This is dragon spacing or dragon snag, whichever one it actually is supposed to be. Now, the reason why 3-by-1 sets are so good for quick game is because 3-by-1 sets influence linebackers very, very well. And that's because linebackers are often coached when they're dropping into coverage to turn to the 3-by side of a 3-by-1 concept because, you want your eyes on more potential threats. And that is why the backside of 3-by-1 concepts, whether it be flood or quick game, is often filled with inbreakers because linebackers are vacating this space in the middle of the field. And that's no different than what's happening here. Dak Prescott, once he takes a snap, is going to read Tranquil and Bolton, and that's going to determine the side of this play that he's going to pick. And because both Bolton and Tranquil turn towards the 3-by side, you see his eyes are right on them now. They both turn towards the 3-by side. His eyes shift to the backside where the read man now becomes Jaden Hicks here, number 21, who, if he follows the flat, he's going to throw the slant behind him. If he kind of squats in this hook to curl area, he's going to throw the flat and try to pick up whatever he can to Javonte Williams. But Jaden Hicks is ultimately responsible for Javonte Williams. And so Dak Prescott right here lets this ball go to Pickens for the slant, something that I've said a million times in this video, and the Cowboys get a huge first down conversion to ice this game. That's all I got for the film session, guys. This video should be coming out literally right before the Cowboys play the Lions on Thursday Night Football. So, there's a world where Dak Prescott stinks it up tonight, so this video could look horrible very quickly. But I'm just analyzing his performance against the Chiefs, guys. He played really well against the Chiefs. I have no say in what happens tonight. I'm just reporting things as they happen. And so if he stinks it up tonight, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I just hope you enjoyed the video, and I guess until next time.